Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Nüvida. Let's talk. Today it's just the lads. We're gonna kind of just chat it out, give a little wrap up, talk about some crazy shit that happened this year. Some good and bad. Dive into everything. Do you guys wanna
do the jump into it? All right, let's start. Let's go with what's went wrong in this world. First thing.
What do you mean?
So war. That's the first thing that went wrong.
Oh, what went wrong in 2022?
Yeah, two. Yeah, we'll start
we're going
there.
very broad here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I thought we were talking. Let's talk.
No, I mean a lot of shit went wrong in 2022. Fuck. You want to start there?
Yeah, let's start. I don't know. Do you want to start with the world ourselves? Because I think we should get on the broad. Let's get big picture first, and we can get into personal stuff if it works, right?
Bet.
Yeah. So let's start with the war. How did that affect the outcome of, I guess, where we're at now? Do you think we're in a better place than we were a couple months ago, or way worse?
Honestly, I don't really follow politics like that, but if I would have to say in generalities, right? You look at the overall stock market's crashing, right? We're headed the stock market's crashing. We're heading into recession, those sorts of things there. Obviously it's had a negative impact, and this happens anytime that there's wars throughout the world, right? War follows recession, and recession follows reconstruction of the current modern day financial currency systems, and how you're going to pull yourself out of that. So yeah, I would say obviously it had a negative impact. We're also seeing some really weird distribution of funds when it comes down to the powers of the world, right? And where Canada's putting their money, where the US is putting their money, right? And what Sleepy Joe is doing down there. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but yeah, war obviously is, if in regards to your question, it's a bad thing. Obviously, we're in a worse place, but like David said, it's kind of sketchy. The way the money's being moved around, who's being involved. Zelensky having time to be on fucking Letterman and all this blasphemy. Him being it's I don't know what's going on there. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, it's war. It's sad. It's unfortunate. But this is a political theater, bro. It's kind of looking weird.
So the question I want to ask, do you think it's brought a lot of things to light with all this, since we have so much social media, and before, I don't think our wars that we've had were so televised, but now we actually get to see everything, paperwork cuts to come out, and as you guys said, these little passing of money that you didn't know ever happened. I think
it just shows how weak of a government the United States has, and Canada, and as a collective. It just shows that there was a hole, there was a gap, and Putin, he clearly saw that
and exploited
exploited it, done. You know what I mean?
Not even just that, right? But why, how much power the people have in certain circumstances, right? And also and on the other hand, how much power the government has, right? You look at the convoy, you look at the looting down in the States, right? And when the hand had to come down, it came down, right? But people were allowed to kind of run rampant for a while. So it's just another interesting take on just kind of what control really does our governments have, right? You look at Putin is a terrible example just because of his little power hungry trip right now.
Yeah.
Right? But you don't see people in Russia doing that. They love Mother Russia, right? They're not bringing it down, right? Maybe they don't agree with what Putin's doing, but no one's revolting like that.
They can't. They have no option there. You know what I mean? It's not like here. They don't have that freedom to.
Yeah.
They're going to jail. They're going against the country's interests. It's jail time.
Do you think also too they could be in a form more patriotic because they're I guess more if at least looking at each other, right? So if you look at a country like China, right, they're very patriotic within their own country because if you look, most of the people look alike. They live the same life. And I actually just really want to ask this question. So it's easier to be patriotic if you're defending your nation, right? Do you think when you go to a more multicultural country, people find more divides just in those little aspects where it's I don't feel as connected to you because we may not look alike, even, but just that concept.
I don't know, because you look at there's a resolution or revolting in China right now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of pushback on the government and how they filter systems, but if you speak out, right, people are literally getting sent to COVID camps over there, right? COVID has been what for the last year, and the media has been very downplaying like the cases are high again in China, but you look at like what's going on in like Iran and Palestine, right? Like with those wars, and like they're just trying to liberate their people, right? Give females some more rights, right? Like they're trying to westernize their society to some extent, maybe not the extent that like Canada and US are in right now, because that creates a whole different plethora of problems, but like those little internal wars that are existing, right? Like, so like everyone has like different ways that they can back these governments, right? I don't think it's necessarily like the whole like being of the same nation or from the same area, right? It's a matter of like what you're standing for and where you think is right and ethical versus like it's like this, so keep it like this sort of thing, you know?
But that's interesting though, because like I hear what you're saying in the sense of they would be more united technically because they're all the same culture, values, surrounded by all that. Like in these Western countries, like you literally are exposed to all nationalities, all different types of cultures, all different people, which is amazing. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
it builds pockets too, right?
But yeah, maybe like in regards to a country being a whole, yeah, if you really think about it, only a few countries are probably really like, how do I say it, diverse, like really multicultural hubs, right?
Yeah, it'd be like us.
You'd be looking at like Europe, areas of Europe, right?
Yeah,
Not even like
England is
all
pretty
of
diverse,
Europe, but
right?
areas, the U.S. and then, yeah, really, where else, right? Like everywhere else is just like travel
And
destinations.
it's that which really controls like the media or controls like what's culture or what's like hot or what's trending. It's those countries. Very interesting. It's
Well, you think of it too, right? Because then you'll have people from like different countries come there. They'll learn the culture and then they bring it back to theirs, or they'll just have family and friends from the other country that are exposed to it through like maybe your social media, and then they're like, oh, that's cool. They bring it over there and start integrating, and that's kind of a change there. But overall, it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. What other crazy thing happened this year? 2022 wrap up.
Messi won a World Cup.
That's
rowdy.
That was the best World Cup finals ever.
It was funny. I was trolling like Merlo, right? And I was like, collusion, bro. I was like Argentina and where is it? Saudi Arabia?
Qatar?
Or Qatar? Yeah. I was like Argentina and Qatar. You know, they're brothers. They're side by side. He's like, bro, they're on the opposite side of the world. I was like, yeah, whoosh already, right? Bro, like so I was just trying, right? But like it was like, yeah, Messi. Not only like Messi winning the World Cup, but in the fashion that they did, like. First of all, Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
Bro.
Monster.
Like, you look at Messi and Ronaldo carrying these past generations for fandom. Look at what this guy just did, right? Back-to-back World Cup finals, 23 years old. Yeah. He just put up a hat trick in the final. Like, regardless if he got it through fucking penalty shots or whatever, bro. Like,
he did it.
That dude's carrying in the next generation of fandom.
And you know what's crazy? Yesterday, he just scored the game-winning goal for his team. For PSG, I believe, and
for the clubs.
He's moving different. He's moving different.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's cool too, because like at least you know how like every generation we have people to look out for towards, and like it's like, okay, do we wait? Is it at the end of our generation we get to see it? Is it at the beginning of theirs? Mm-hmm. Like we're very fortunate because we got to see so much. Like we've seen every sport have our stars. Like hockey, we've seen it through soccer, we've seen it through basketball. Like every sport.
What's crazy is like obviously like this episode won't be released till later, but like today technically like Pelé died. You know what I mean? The Brazilian soccer star. You know what I mean? So like you're talking about legends. You know what I mean? Like and how they come and go. It's like that. It's crazy when you start to see like them to pass away. You know what I mean? And to know that like you said, like one day like Messi, Ronaldo, those guys are gonna eventually.
Well, even like it was a freak accident, but Kobe's passing shut down North America.
Yeah, it did. 100%.
Right.
Holy.
The impact that guy had outside of basketball, like it literally shut down North America, right?
Yeah.
And like yeah, he was like a great, right? But like we haven't seen MJ pass yet, right? Like Tom Brady's still playing, right? Like crazy stuff like that. Jesus. This chick just butting one out the window, staring me in the eye over there.
Yeah. Eh?
Oh, I was like, you're like eyeing me down. I was like, yo, what's going on? Am I got like someone about to jump out behind me?
Yeah. Fuck. But no, Kobe was bro. I remember exactly where I was. I was working at TD. I was in the call center, and I just remember like obviously waiting for calls, looking at my phone, like just scrolling, and then I saw R.I.P. Kobe, the first outlet. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This is fucking troll.
Fake news.
News. And then right away, of course, you refresh, a second one, a third one. And then you start to Google it yourself and you see actual news outlets reporting it. And you don't want to believe it, bro. I'm telling you right now, I went on like after work hours and just went to the bathroom for like probably 25 minutes, bro. And I was actually just like disturbed because like Kobe was such a like so impactful. My first jersey was Kobe,
100%.
but like just like the person he was too. Like if you guys obviously you know his determination, his strength, but like just how he carried himself as like a leader and just like how
He had
raw
a good
he was.
story
Like,
too, like a
yeah.
really good I think like a lot of people, that's why they maybe attach themselves to him too, because like if you looked at his like come up story, it wasn't just pretty, you know what I mean? Always traveling, always moving places, having to like be that guy. Like he lived in Spain for a little bit, I'm pretty sure, or Italy,
yeah.
and he knew how to speak the language, and he had to learn because he got bullied, and it's like, you know, that's what sometimes makes some of the strongest people out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's crazy when that shit happens. It's really crazy.
It's crazy too, though. Also, like you look at social media, it just tells you like that. Like, you know what I mean? Before you have to wait till like the 6 o'clock news, then you'd find out, your parents would tell you, "Oh my God, this person died," and that's how we'd get the news. Now it's like you literally just flick a finger and you see it.
Yeah, it's the news is literally Twitter first. It's
Yeah.
crazy because everything is on Twitter first. Like for example, like I said, this podcast is gonna be released in a couple of weeks, but like the Tate brothers just went to jail today. Who knows what's going on there? You know, who knows? But they just got arrested. You know what I mean? And it's just
Kanye got missing, you know? Like,
yeah, Kanye's gone missing.
Greta's happy.
Greta's happy. But, and yeah, you're just seeing this on Twitter and stuff. It's like crazy how like that's like the news.
And the news source
outlet
now.
nowadays.
It's so I guess that's another topic we can jump into, like the rise of Andrew Tate, and then I guess the fall now, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, like, the fall was always coming, right? And it wasn't coming in a sense that, like, he was going to do something, right? Like, whatever he's arrested for right now is allegations. But right from the get-go, right, there was always a media outtake that whatever Andrew Tate was putting out was a negative connotation and negative impact on today's youth and the developing mind and what he's teaching men specifically, right? And for some reason, that was a big problem, right? We have all these powerful feminist outlets, right, that like teach women to be strong and empowering, which there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But Andrew Tate was coming out and teaching men to take back control and empower themselves, to stop carrying an incel mentality, right? Stop living in your mom's basement. Jokes on me, right? But like, you know, you know what I mean, right? But like he was just like teaching, he was teaching you like how to get out of the matrix, or like how to like just take control of your life, right? Like how to put your mind towards something and actually make something of life, not just sit at home, play video games and never do anything, right? And then sit around being sad all the time. And that was always coming, right? Because for some, like we've seen, he got banned, right? He got banned off of Facebook. He got banned off of Twitter. He got silenced on TikTok, YouTube, right? Like all these platforms deplatformed him, right? And it's like, okay, now he found a way to continue spreading his message, whether it was through Rumble or going on other people's shows, or like the dude went inside and had a debate with Piers Morgan, right? Like Piers Morgan is one of the biggest news outlets in the world for his platform that he sits on. And he still was standing strong to his message, right? Like the connotation maybe changed a little bit because like he like for media purposes had to like word it a little bit better. But at the end of the day, right, like their end goal, the media, like their end goal, I don't know who I'm referring to when I say their, but like their goal was to shut him down. And that, as of right now with his arrest, like that's another step closer to that.
It's crazy because like they'll be letting other things shine though. You know what I mean?
Question: do you think it's eerie that like that happened just all of a sudden, like
The Kanye go missing and then the Tate brothers get arrested?
Tate
Yeah,
said it was coming, right?
And that's what I'm saying. Is it like eerie in the aspect because like there's so much like social, like not, I guess like media shine on them
It's
right
eerie.
now, and that's
It's
why?
eerie because it's during the holidays when people are so busy, so distracted with like family matters, friends, you know, like holidays. Even like some people are like, these are tough times for some people, obviously, right? As well. But like it's such a unique time when all of this is happening that it's perfect in a way.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like, how does Kanye go missing? You know what I mean? The Kanye, the guy that's constantly in the limelight, you know?
There's one of two things. It's either like just a very strategic Kanye thing to do, to go missing after being so radical. Like,
Fair.
boss on you, bro.
Fair,
Like,
fair.
he's capable of being that, like, ahead of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or he's actually missing. Like they have him.
And I hate
bro.
it too, because do you remember like there's like a text thread? Who knows if it's real or not, right? But like for
Between whom?
Between him and his trainer, actually, where his trainer is like telling him like you need to calm down, you need to come see me, and if you don't, like, relax.
When was this? Sorry.
This was like a couple months back. Like I want to say almost like 2 months ago. Like this is when he first started doing like coming out with all these allegations against the Jews and just like attacking them. His trainer literally had told him like, if you don't calm down, I'm gonna put you back on meds. And like it's just now now he's missing, and it's like, okay, was it like a foreshadow of what was to come now?
You know what's crazy? Apparently, the guy who's closest to him,
Yeah.
that family just reported him missing 2 days ago in Los Angeles police.
See, that's spooky.
So it's like
That's
it's like, huh? Very interesting. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
interesting.
And then he gets cloned, and then we get a Gucci Mane clone or a
I
Kodak
don't know,
Black clone.
I don't think cloning exists yet.
Like for humans, right?
Well, like for humans, for really like anything, right? Like there's been some scientific examples, but like even those like fail or they die fairly
Like,
quickly.
Yeah,
right?
cloning of humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
But, like-
I was showing him a dog that like that's actually super popular in like the bully world. I think like the first one was named like Jihad. I actually don't want to get the names wrong, but essentially like it's from Bully Campline is the company. And he ended up breeding when his dog passed away, and then he ended up breeding it. And then, or cloning it, and then they cloned it, and like, what was it? Like a week later, he said he literally had the same dog in front of him, had the same manner.
Yeah, cloning animals, I know is like a thing. Yeah, like sure, but like yeah, I agree. Like humans, I don't think it's like, oh yeah, this celebrity's cloned or they're being like.
I think
staged.
like doppelgangers or like
What is
training
that, sorry?
someone.
What is that?
A doppelganger is like
a doppelganger.
doppelganger.
DOPPLE and then ganger.
Interesting. Sorry.
Check the spelling on that.
I know it's
Brandon.
DOPPLE. I know it.
But doppelgangers, they have all like very similar traits and features. So like for example, like if you and I had a similar facial structure, facial hair, ears, right? It's basically like finding your clone or like yourself or your twin out in the wild, right?
Okay.
So like you have no relation, but you look almost like as if you were an identical twin or some sorts, right? So like doppelgangers exist, and then like with modern day like training and practices for like acting and how to like kind of carry yourself, right? It's very possible that like they could release Kanye 2.0 and we're looking at almost an identical person that acts almost identical to Kanye, but maybe it's now Kanye on meds that got released, right? And he's more calm and subtle and like folding to the media, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if something like that came out if Kanye continues to go missing, right?
Yeah.
Because like at any point in time, if he comes back and he's not the Kanye that disappeared, and when I say that, right, he's not radical anymore. He's not, screaming about some crazy shit or like how he played the contract. Like,
it's hard though, because like then you could like it's hard. You play it like this. It's like, oh, maybe he just went in recovered during this whole time off. You know what I mean? It's like, is it the truth or not the truth? Right? It's so skewed at this point because it's like, okay, he left. Did he actually recover during this time? And like, this is like what?
But like at the end of the day, Kanye, like, yes, he's radical. Yes, like he doesn't really know how to filter himself when he needs to for his own public, like, like persona, let's say. But fucking, he was right about a lot of fucking shit in the sense of like this whole Balenciaga shit, yo.
Yeah, that was spooky.
Like this whole like, like he was saying all these big brands are, they're pedophiles. Bro, tell me how Balenciaga has that little pedophile ad with the little kids and the fucking caution tape and all this weird shit.
Did you see how they tried to backpedal out of it though? Did you like hear how they tried to say that they ended up hiring like this one company that essentially overseed it all, and they were the reason that they came out? But at the same time,
anyone who sees that picture,
because like even I was listening to Money Buys Happiness and they talk about it, right? And it's like at the end of the day, like even from my standpoint as a creative, like if someone hires me on, my creative is based off of your direction. There's not going to be any company, especially of that size and caliber in the world, that's going to come in and say, hey, I'm hiring you on as a creative. You get to pick and choose and do whatever you want. Here's $1 billion. It's not going to happen, right? They're going to say, we want it like this, right? Here are the steps for you to take. Add your personal touch, whether it's taking the photo a certain way or the lighting a certain way, X, Y, and Z, right? But at the end of the day, Balenciaga, which I actually found out is owned by Gucci.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of the parent
Or
parent brands.
Keurig company or something. Keurig,
Yeah, but Gucci's under there too.
yeah,
There's
the Keurig company, which is also what his like one of the longest standing like demonic supporting brands.
Yeah, I got to cancel all those brands.
Yeah.
Buy Nüvida, let's talk merch.
Facts.
No, we don't support none of that shit.
Are we gonna do no, we can't because we get defamation. Imagine, don't buy Balenciaga.
Yeah. No, but that's crazy though, because like at the end of the day, like that's fucked. You know what I mean? Like that's not a conspiracy theory. I feel like we could say that now. It's not. The fact that like these like elites and all these big rich brands, like they're actually up to some fuckery, like some satanic shit, some like pedophilia stuff, some like
Well, like
weird.
like if you've listened to like a couple Rogan episodes, right, where they have certain doctors on, they talk about like youthism and like the whole stem cells and like literally like putting younger like genetics into yourself and how it helps with healing and repair and like keeping you young and active, right? So like I wouldn't be surprised if billionaires were fucking around with that kind of shit, right? Like, it definitely a conspiracy theory, but like,
honestly, conspiracy theories, it's almost like they're just unproven truths at this point.
Well, I heard an
You know
interesting one the other day actually, and so this it has to do with our current financial like bank system, central bank system. So the conspiracy theory was that the Titanic was actually a hit.
A hit,
right?
Okay.
So what is it? The Rothwells, the Rothschilds that currently own the or the prominent
banking
feature in centralized banking.
Yeah.
So the Rothschilds had created this event, the Titanic. It was this big, prestigious, massive boat, blah blah blah. And at the time, there was I can't remember his exact nationality, but straight up like this gangster. He owned 40% of mortgages in the U.S. Right, or like across North America. So like 40% of debt was owed to him, and he was like hardcore like mafia, like paying off senators XYZ, blah blah blah, right? And so when the Rothschilds like planned this event on the Titanic, they invited all these billionaires to make it look like this super class action event, and as the boat was about to undock, the Rothschilds stepped off, right? And then we all know the story of the Titanic, you know, floating around, Jack and Rose, you know, right? But like at the end of the day, right, like that multi fucking gajillionaire that owned 40% of housing in North America. Did he end up dying on it? Yeah, he died on the ship, right? So like, and then this happened in like 1965 and 1967 was when central banking was created. Yeah. And it was created by the Rothschilds, who were supposed to be on this boat.
That's crazy,
right? It was a very interesting conspiracy theory. I'd have to show you guys the clip afterwards.
Cool. Yeah, because like I personally just found out about the whole like Titanic, how it went down, because like my tattoo artist, he's really into that stuff, and he was saying that essentially how it first went down was like there was a fire in like the main in that sector where it hit against the iceberg. They weren't told, but like a couple of weeks before, a huge fire came out there, so it weakened all the steels and everything there. So then that's why when it actually hit the iceberg, it broke there, and like it kind of like that's how it ended. So it's funny you say that, because it's like two different stories of it, right?
Jet fuel melts steel beams.
Who knows, right?
let's not go down that one. Let's not go down that one.
I don't know, bro. I don't know, right? So it's like, no, that's such a cool one. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Honestly, it's interesting. And like the question is, do we trust Elon Musk? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Do we trust Elon Musk?
I don't know,
because like I feel like a lot of people have that question, like whether or not you're on his side, but he could also be like a billionaire who owns like all the electric vehicles, who owns all the solar, who owns all the space. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely myself, I trust Elon. I think he has at least like interest in like humanity, like what's good for humanity.
Yeah, I think that's what separates him, right? Because like he
like no, I'm like I don't know. Like that was just my thought. I don't know
because like he's definitely like to some extent monopolizing the market, right? Which historically has never been good for an economy. But like he's doing it without emotions, and he's separating all of the feelings kind of bullshit. Like he walked in there and he wiped out like 80% of the Twitter workspace, right?
Yeah.
And Twitter was supposed to collapse, and it's still working just fine.
Better. It's working better.
Working better, right?
Yeah.
And Twitter, a company that was notoriously non-profitable since its existence, suddenly is doing numbers, right? And like I said, like you said, like Ricardo, like he has some kind of notion for humanity or respect for humanity. So he's doing it in a way to like really separate feelings, right? Like the removing of pronouns, like that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting his take on it, but it's very clear and cut. Like this is what's biological and scientifically correct.
Yeah.
And this is what I think is going to improve and make humanity last down the road. And he keeps running with it, right?
Did you hear what happened with the Boxing Confederation? They announced that
the new league.
they're gonna make a new league, like a new transgender league, because they said that they can't. You know what? They're like, no matter what, sorry, we can't put a biological male in a rink with a biological female. We can't. That's just like abuse, yo. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's. Bro,
Yeah,
that's
no,
like putting a fucking
it's even
lamb in a cage with a tiger. Yo, like that's just rude, yo.
It's well, I think also too, it's just like it's kind. We've seen the fights recently too. Like there was one I think it was in Muay Thai. Was it Muay Thai? I think it was a Muay Thai fight or kickboxing one. Literally, it was a transgender female to male that fought a male, and like it wasn't a fair fight. It was actually pretty bad. And even too, like the ref probably should have stepped in and stopped it. But like, what do you do at that point, right?
You know what's a radical one I saw the other day? The guy with no legs.
Oh, he won,
right?
Yeah.
And he won.
He won, yeah.
He won because
Yeah.
like it ended up becoming like a jiu-jitsu rolling match at that point, right? But like even I was watching parts of it and I was like this, like places where you'd usually wrap your legs to gain advantage, you couldn't do so, right?
Yeah.
Like that one I thought like good on him. I thought it was very interesting.
Did you hear there was rules though? They like he was in a lot, like for example, the one guy who had his legs, he wasn't actually allowed to kick him. So like it's like you take out a big, like obviously it's for fairness, right? In here and there,
It's
but
not
like,
the same fight.
exactly,
Like,
right? Because like even too for like somebody who
Well, I
has
mean,
a
if you're
leg,
able to kick him, bro, like
well,
fuck, you're just kicking him, bro.
Well,
Like, you
it's-
know what I mean?
Like it's
But,
like
like,
kicking a soccer
so-
ball, you know?
yeah, literally just you're
But
pow,
you gotta
pow,
look at it, but,
pow,
like, that's
man's
right.
flying off the fucking
I don't know, but like
mat.
that's fighting though, right? And like in like that, like that's what, like I don't know. From when I look at Ultimate, like UFC or like those types of fight, they're supposed to showcase like what like the closest thing to a fight without it getting too far, right? So like you're not gonna have somebody stomp on someone's face, right? Because you know what, someone's gonna die from something like that. But I don't know.
Good on the promotion for putting it on
Yeah.
and creating the rules.
No,
Like, good
I
on
know
them,
you say it
right?
respectfully,
Yeah,
but, like,
I
you're
mean
right,
it
he
with
does,
100.
he does,
Like,
you're right, though.
like the promotion gave
You're
him a platform.
fucking
Like this
right.
guy trained very hard throughout his entire life, right?
Yeah.
Like good on them for doing that. I don't think it has a place in the professional line of like UFC or anything like that. But like good on them for like giving him that platform and allowing him to achieve his goal, right? Like that's something that we all
That's
would
the
dream
biggest
of.
that
right?
one
Like,
basketball player with one arm though. And
Yeah,
he
he's
wait,
going
they're
really
not
good.
bending the rules at all for him.
No.
right?
No.
Like a travel's a travel and everything's
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Yeah.
and that's crazy because that guy's out there dunking. He's crushing it, bro. I hope he makes NBA. Honestly,
that's what I
I'll
was.
be
I
mad.
asked somebody if they thought. Some people said yeah, some said no, but like,
well,
I
like
hope
there's
so.
it's a little bit different in football, right? But like there was I think his name was Shaquille
Yeah, I
Griffin,
remember.
brothers,
right? The twin brothers, one of them lost his hand
Yeah, I
at a
remember
very
him.
young age, right? And like it's very different. Like you can still wrap up tackle, but like that's still a huge feat. Like we're talking like 0.1% of the population makes it to the league.
Yeah.
This guy did it without a hand.
Yeah, that's
Right?
it,
Like
right?
you know what I mean?
That's
So
wild, man. It's wild. It's wild to think that like I was actually listening to the David Goggins episode with Rogan finally. Like I was waiting till like I kind of got into like a good workout mood and like just put it in. And it's crazy to hear him talk where he's just like, you got to go to the deep end. You got to remember to stay in the deep end. So then when someone takes you there, that you always want to go back. And like I think that's a very like very very like amazing thing to say, right? Because like a lot of times like you're scared to go that far and push yourself to that, but like if you've become so accustomed to getting there and that it's something you've normalized in your head that you're probably going to end up there, it's no longer a scary thing, right?
yeah. Like that was one of the highlights of this year. Is like us even doing that half marathon. Like I feel like
That was
like,
crazy.
before that, running 1 kilometer was tough. Mentally, I was like, fuck, 1 kilometer is actually far.
Yeah, even time, like time.
But now,
wise.
bro, 1 kilometer is baby food. Like
Mhm.
I run that in a parking lot just to get a workout in. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just crazy how like you said, when you're always in the deep end, like training for that half marathon, I felt like I was always in the deep end. Like you probably felt the same way you probably did. Where like there's days where you're like, fuck this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The weeks where it was like a run every single day, that shit sucked. Because like
Yeah.
you knew you were still hurting from the day before. You like I would literally dread work finishing. I'd be like, I'd rather stay at work right now because I knew right when I got off work, it was hot as hell. Ricardo was gonna be like, yo, I'm pulling up, but then we'd have to drive to Springbank. Then you have to get ready. Then you know you're about to run for a straight hour and a half. It's sweaty, it's muggy, there's bugs everywhere. You know you don't want to do it, but you got to keep doing it. And then you got to do it again tomorrow. And then you got to do it again tomorrow. And you got to do it again tomorrow. And just like that, like mindset of like, once you get past that, I don't think anything can really hold you back.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the biggest mistakes that I made this year, was after the marathon. Like I took my foot off the gas, right?
Really?
Like, and like there was like it was a series of events, but like there was things that were non-negotiable that became negotiable. And like for example, even like these last 2 weeks, like I was like, okay, like I'm not going to gym these last 2 weeks of the year, right? I'll start back in January 2nd. And with what specifically has been going on right now, like it's like that was the worst fucking decision I've ever made. The gym was like a 6 day a week, 7 day a week non-negotiable for me. And then after the marathon, it was like, damn, I've been training so hard all year long, plus just did this run which like was not what I was training for, right? That like, oh, like I've earned this time off, right?
Yeah.
And like it's always good to like find the balance of like your earned time off and everything. But like it took me out of the deep end, right? Like I'm not gonna lie, like I've been soft as fuck this last month. Like there's no other way to put it, right? Like I got fucking tossed around and I'm hurting, right? But like there's certain things that I know that are like attributing factors to that, right? Like if I was still in my proper diet and my proper routine, right? Like not leaving work till last minute, right? Like staying a little bit more on top of things, right?
Yeah.
Like I was before we did the marathon. I feel like I'd be able to roll off my back no problem, right? But like because of right now, because like I took my foot off the gas, right? And I went back to the shallow end, right? Like that deep end, I'm fucking drowning right now, right?
Yeah.
And like it hurts.
But yeah, no, I was gonna say like in that regards, it's like I feel like that's what happens when you go so hard at first. You know what I mean? Like for real though. Like even like
Gassing yourself out kind
yeah,
of concept.
like I've kind of felt like, you know, like shit this last month in the sense of that as well. It's just like, yeah, when you go so hard and then like you said, you pause for a bit, you do feel that way. But like what I find, it's like a roller coaster. It's weird. It's weird. Like it's like you have those ups, but like I told you, it comes as downs, and then it comes with those ups, and it's just like that's life. Like it's weird, but like that's kind of like the joy of life in a weird way. You know what I mean? That like you do experience these things, but like as long as you're always trying to improve, let's say.
Yeah, then everything is like perfect, right? Because like even too, I think it kind of makes you see the highlight of like the beautiful moments of like us finishing that marathon. It's like it's such a high because like I guess we're having these lows now where you look back and you're like, damn, I was up here. I was gonna ask, did you find that like after that goal left, like you were like, even me sometimes I think right now I'm kind of struggling because I don't have a set goal in my mind. Like I know that goal was like I'm gonna complete this marathon. Now it's like my goal is to like that to stay consistently working out and actually get really like in really good shape for summertime. But I don't like at the same time it doesn't feel like such a feat compared to like that marathon feat, right? Where it was like I have everybody also hoping that I'm gonna finish this, or even you're probably not gonna do it. When you like switch to a goal where it's like I just want to work out and I want to look good, and it's only me kind of keeping myself accountable for this. I find it's like a lot harder to stay there.
Yeah, I wouldn't like for myself, not necessarily, because like like the marathon was like almost like a side quest for me. As silly as that sounds, because it's such a big feat, right?
I feel like for all of us, bro, like that was a random fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, like I don't know what the hell I was on that day. I put it on my story. A lot of people said you should do it. I literally brought it up to you guys, and you guys were like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah,
like it was just a radical thing.
It was
from
fun.
all men,
and that was like one of those things where it was like, okay, like I'm gonna have to adapt my goals around it, but like it's not gonna impact them in a negative way. You know what I mean? So like when I say it's like a side quest, right? Like it's not, you can't just pick up and decide to run a marathon. Like there's a very, very small percentage of the population that could, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like when it comes down to it, it was like my other goals like were so oriented around like my fitness and business development that like they still were there, right? It was more or less, it was like the achievement of the marathon happened because like this was my marathon week. Like I ran the marathon, right? And then the 2 days later I drove out to Ohio for my first rave ever, Lost Lands, right?
Yes.
20 minutes before I left for that vacation, I got sat down in my office, right, where I'd been managing a store for 4 months, and by a regional manager that hasn't stepped foot in the store for 4 months told me that due to my facial expressions that he thinks I'm having a negative impact on my team and customer experience. And my manager was sitting right there beside me, and she goes, I don't know where this feedback's coming from. This isn't feedback that I provided. She said that right in front of him, and he turned to her and was like, what the fuck? You're supposed to have my back, right? And she's like, no, because I don't agree with you. Like, Dave's been, like, saving this store for me, right? So that happened 20 minutes before, like, I went for a vacation. So, like I left, like, on a pretty negative note. So, yeah, so the like gone to not just a rave, like fucking Lost Lands, like it's massive event. You're camping out in the middle of a fucking pit for 3 to 4 days, right? And so it was like I came back from that, and like I really realistically, like I'd known for a while like I was going to quit Bell by the end of the year regardless. Like January 1st was already in my sights regardless. Like at that moment I came back, and like my manager sat me down and she was like, hey, so like obviously we had this conversation before you left, like how are you feeling, right? And I was like, to be completely honest, like I'm like, this is where I'm at, and like I'm like pretty much ready to get my 2 weeks in. And she kind of goes, oh, she's like, well, this makes this a little bit easier then because I've been really upset. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, you're being transferred stores. And I was like, what do you mean I'm being transferred stores? And she was like, yeah, you're being transferred stores. It's going to be a reduction in hours. You're going to have to travel to this location. It's going to be roughly 45 minutes by bus ride, X, Y, and Z. And the purpose for me to relocate was that they needed a more experienced rep to train the new hired staff because they didn't have up there someone capable, or they were struggling with it. And I was like, well, that makes no sense because like I'm losing out on hours, and then if I'm training people, I'm also losing out on potential sales because now I'm focused on developing these people, right? It's a commission-based, performance-based environment. I was like, I've earned my spot here. And she's like, yep, unfortunately, like I have no say in this, and that's what's going to happen. So right at that moment, I was like, all right, here's my 2 weeks. I either finish it out here or I quit on the spot because I was supposed to move on that Monday. So I got back on the Thursday. On that Monday, I was supposed to move to a different location. I was like, here's my 2 weeks. I either finish it out here or I quit effective immediately because I'm not going to a new store for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I finished out my 2 weeks there. And then from there, it's just like things were calm. And then I did something like honestly like that like probably shouldn't have. I opened a door that I had sworn to close. Right? Without going into too much details, like it was just I opened that door, I became vulnerable and open to something, and then it showed me exactly why I kept that. I told myself to close that door, right? But it is what it is. And so like with that series of events, and it's just like now like my work is like it's not a stable line of work, right? Like I'm an independent contractor, right? I do video work for us. I do like I'm managing a construction company that I know nothing about construction. Like I'm doing my best to learn on the fly and go, but like I'm doing the marketing for them and trying to land them jobs and everything, and like it's been going good so far. But like other than that, it's like little jobs that I pick up here and there, right? So like it's a weird mindset because it's like I was telling Ricardo this the other day. I was like, I almost feel like I've achieved so much this year, but at the same time, because of the mental state that what happened put me back to a similar mental state I was in a year ago, that like I feel like I achieved nothing. And it's hard to reflect on those things sometimes, right? So like that's where I just mean like I like taking my foot off the gas in September, like that's where I feel like it was most impactful, because if I didn't take my foot off the gas, I wouldn't be in this seat having this conversation today, in the sense that like it would just be a different topic, right?
Yeah. In a weird way though, it's like I do believe in like a muscle, like a conscience muscle, you know, something that's always telling you like, you know, like you could be doing this, you could be doing this, you could be doing this, and like your muscles obviously so strengthened from the experience. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like even myself, like going through like shit situations or like things you can't predict that are negative, like it does strengthen some sort of muscle so that when something like that does come up, like it's not like it makes anything easier, but like you have that. You know what I mean? So like, so no, I can relate to that, bro. I can relate to that 100%. And it's like, yeah, that's why it's important to try to stay consistent. You know what I mean? And like, the reality is like you can go through consistency, fall out, go through consistency, fall out, go through consistency and fall out. It's the fact that you still are conscious of that you need to get back on track. That's what a lot of people don't have, is that conscience of like, okay, let me get back into it. A lot of people are just slumped. And then they're 30, 35, 40. What have I been doing? You know what I mean? Where like the last like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, for me, even till this day, I feel like it's been like this probably for you guys too, since like a teenager, since young, you've always had that conscience building that like it does. I feel like it really does benefit you, and it will benefit us when it makes sense with time, like maybe in the future. You know what I mean? Maybe that's something we need to experience. But like I could definitely relate, bro. 100%.
No, I agree. I think even too, just having like such a set routine, like there's a reason we put our kids on routines. There's a reason that like we go through our lives and like we build routines, because like once we have these set things, it makes life a lot easier. Because even too, it's like you have such a set routine where you start doing things faster, things start opening up, you have more time to do this, and then you start kind of like, I guess, going back to this episode I listened to earlier, it's like just progressive, like overloading yourself at the beginning of it, where like you almost have to take on too much to figure out how much you can, and then slowly you're able to overcome those things that are too hard for you to do, because you've just become so used to the easy things that they're no longer a problem. So I don't know, I found even too, for me, it's like I'm working back on just a routine. Like my biggest one is like at least just like what time I'm going to the gym is like a big struggle for me, but like the consistency of just going there is like the battle I actually was able to win, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it just comes down to, I guess, trying to push through those tough times. And thank God, I feel like we have a few people, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 people that we can talk to, and you know what I mean? But it's, yeah, that's fucking a roller coaster of events there. You know what I mean? It's just the reality of it. I feel like, bro, everybody's life would just be like this. You know what I mean? Even the most successful of people, even the happiest of people, the people who are the most rich, have the most money, have the most paradise. Like, okay, I wonder how big their behemoth drop was at one point.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like dark or like or sad, or who knows.
That's the thing, like the series of events for this year, right? Like I can say this is probably, even though like I when I say I did like fuck all for the first 8 months of this year, I can still say it was one of my most eventful years, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean that in a sense of, it was just like of whether it was like growth and development, right? What we've done with Nüvida, right? Where we came from versus at like the beginning of the year with the rebrand, and then starting at episode, what was it, like 4, to where we are now. This is going to be episode 32, right?
So fuck
crazy, like 32 episodes, like crazy. But then like the rooms that we've put ourselves in, the hands I've gotten to shake, the networking aspects, right? And then like these last 4 months, it's like I don't regret derailing myself in a sense, because it's like this is the life experience that like you're never going to get to relive, right? Like going away for a rave, or like little parties here and there, right? Like I wasn't a partier in high school, I wasn't a partier in college, right? So like these little events and like experiencing those and the highs and the rush of dopamine that comes with them, like it was like what my only ever like live concert experience was like I was like 15, I think, and I went and saw Wiz Khalifa live, and then at that time I was just kind of like, I was like, why do people like go to concerts live, right? Like I didn't understand it, right? And like you can attribute that to whatever you want, alcohol, weed, whatever, right? Like me being young and not doing any of that stuff, but like this time around it was completely different, like so much more immersed, and maybe it was the type of crowd that I was with, or like the people that I was around, but like these last 4 months have been like some of the greatest life experiences that I've ever had, right? So yeah, I don't like regret any of it, but like yeah, it's just, you really reflect on this year, and you're like, that, like if that's what the balance is going to be, of 8 months of nothing for 4 months of like really high output for expending energy, like I would do it over and over again.
Yeah,
A few things I would trim, but other than that, like I would do it over and over again if that's the cycle that I get to be on for the rest of my life.
I feel that.
It's weird. I feel like it's just like we all go through some natural shedding, let's say, like of like cleansing of like, yeah, go through that. Okay, what's going on this year? Whatever you experience this year, you know what I mean? Go through that, like kind of like get it out of your system, like you said. Like when have you ever been able to really experience a moment like that? I've never been to a rave. I would still would think it would be amazing to go to a rave, you know what I mean? But like it's stuff that like, yeah, you should just get out and do it. And I do applaud you for doing that because you did really let loose in a couple of raves.
Literally jumped out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, so that was way outside the comfort zone, right? But like it was with good people. Like I went with my best friend Remar, right?
Yeah.
Like he's been my brother for years. We've lived together for like 7 years, right? Even though we've had falling outs here and there, like he probably knows me inside and out, like one of the best people to know me. And like I told him, I was like, while we were down there, I was like, hey man, I was like, my life's in your hands. I was like, whatever you think is good for me is good for me, right? Like whatever you think's not is not, right?
Yeah,
but like I went down with good company, and like all the people I met within that friend group, fantastic people, right? Like it was a great experience. Rekindled some friendships from people that I worked with in the past that were part of that group, right? And like it was just kind of like, oh, like you're still kicking it, and like this is how you've grown over X amount of time, right? So like that, like yeah, it was way outside my comfort zone. Like introvert by nature, right? Like I fucking hate interacting with people unless like it serves a purpose, right? Like and like I don't mean that in a way of like using people, but like networking, right? Networking is different, and like any business like oriented introvert is going to tell you, right? Like a networking conversation is not the same as like going to the bar and having a conversation, right?
Exactly.
So that was a whole 360 flip, but like it added a whole different perspective on things. Yeah, it's made me more like a lot more comfortable in various situations as well too.
So I guess like what would you rate this year, and what are you gonna like aim for next year? I'm gonna ask you the same question, so prep.
Thanks. I could take my time.
So what is the scale out of 10?
Out of 10.
Out of 10?
And it's just soft. It doesn't have to be specific.
I would say this year's probably a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Reason being is there was like I said, some non-negotiables that I let become negotiable. And those are some very personal goals that I hold very close to myself. So that's why I'm going to knock a couple points off, is because of where that lapse came. But overall, yeah, 7 out of 10, like just life experience wise and growth. I can tell you, like, there was one point in time where I was sitting in the back room at Bell, and I was kind of just being mopey. And my previous relationship, I was a stepdad, right? I had the kid 50% of the time. And he literally looked at me and like, this is like fucking, I was literally being accused of being on steroids like every single day, right? Like, it's one of my favorite compliments, right? I've never done this shit, but like, it's one of my favorite compliments, right? And so like, I'm sitting in the back room, I'm being a little mopey, and he literally turns to me and he's like, listen, man, he's like, you could be sitting on a couch doing nothing, being a stepdad, right? He's like, regardless of whether you're down about that right now or whatever is going on, he's like, look how far you come. And that really put this year into perspective for me.
Facts. And is it a little kid who said this?
No, this was a 40-year-old that still works at Bell. Genius of a guy. Honestly, he should not be working at Bell, but he's put some limits on himself, right? If he does watch this, I know I mean that in the most respectful way, Scott. He's shown support for us in the past, right? But like very, very intelligent guy. I just think he put some limits on himself, and he could do better, but everyone has their journey, right? As for next year, what do I want to do? Wow, I want a 6-figure year. That's go. I don't think it's very outlandish to think that. It's like not. I'm literally, it's a handful of contracts away with the contracting company. It's a handful of deals away with Nüvida. I want a 6-figure year. I want to move out of my mom's basement, but not just move out. Like I want it to be in property ownership, but with that comes like investment goals. Like I want to have investment property before I live in my own property, right? Mm-hmm. Like I've owned my own house before, right? Me and Remar owned a place on Southdale. And like understanding the difference between owning and living in versus owning an investment property and then living in the next one after, or house hacking or whatever the case may be there, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, next year I would love to see those probably two things happen most. Probably go to stay very independent, right? So it's just a path I've realized I need to be on, but keep working at it.
Let's go. That's solid. What about you, buddy?
I don't know.
Smiley?
I was thinking about it in a couple ways. Like, I don't know. I had a pretty up and down year for sure. Like, I want to say a lot more highs than lows. So if we chalk it up, I'll probably give an 8 to an 8.5. The reason I say that is I had a lot of growth, so that's why I don't want to shy of it from even being far from a 10, because there's a lot of things I was able to take control of, really understand within myself, and also push myself to. Made a lot of commitments that I was able to understand that they were either too big for me to do at the time, or even too that little in some circumstances where I definitely could have done more. A lot of other good things was just being able to take myself serious, where I made the commitment, got this dog, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this dream, gotta do it now. So I did it. Then you turned on to towards the end of the year where everything's so perfect, and I lose my first dog. So it's that's where I kind of see it's great moments, sad moments, great moments, sad moments. But then now we're at the very end of the year where it's everything else has gone pretty much perfect, I would say, if you can put a way of saying it. And my perfect isn't everything went right. It's I still feel happy, and I think that's a perfect way to look at it in my eyes. So yeah, I'll give it an 8.5. We'll give it at that. Good at that. 8.5. And then for what do I want to do for the new year? I don't know. I'm gonna find a new goal. I probably want to get back into Muay Thai almost 100%. Maybe do a fight this year.
Can we just to cut in? Can we talk about what happened there?
Just what stopped it?
Or? What stopped it? Was it the coach or
Oof, bro. There's honestly, bro. It's just just a fallout. But also too, it's I think when you're doing something like that, you start to identify what your role is on a team, right? Some people aren't meant to be coaches. Some people are meant to be teammates. Other people are meant to not be teammates. They're meant to be coaches. And I guess it takes time to find that out 100%. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time too, it's especially with fighting, what I've learned is you really get to see the extremes of people's personalities, either happiest at the happiest or even at the saddest when they're broken. And I guess that's the character of what kind of goes down. Especially for where I'm at now is I'm probably gonna find a new gym. I think. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to a new gym. I was talking to my buddy Zach, and we were we're pretty confident where we're gonna go.
You say you're gonna do a multi-fight in 2023?
I'm debating on it, definitely. I think at least one. I think because that's what I'm saying. I want a goal. I want some form of a goal. So the marathon was it. Maybe I'll put a fight in by this year, at the end of the year. It won't be anytime soon, because I want to do at least 8 months of solid getting my ass kicked by some people who actually know how to fight. Just so it's when I step in there, it's nothing surprising, because last thing I need is not realize that a leg kick is coming and just get swept off my feet.
Yeah,
so,
no. You're
but yeah, that would be a good one. I don't know. Maybe, so probably Muay Thai, get that. Definitely develop this podcast a lot better. Not in a way that's not good right now, but there's things we can definitely add to it. Definitely things we can change. Maybe a new location. Who knows? Better guests, better conversations. Just I think this will be a big focal point for me. Just diving in on this and maybe making it's we already know it's going to be big. It's just about getting it there faster. All it takes is just more work, more effort towards that. And then, just one lucky click of somebody seeing us and being that's the shit. So it's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
You right, and
what
Big
about you,
Poppy over here,
bro.
eh?
No hype. But no, honestly, this year I would honestly, truthfully rate it a 7.5, 7.58. Yeah, it was transformational year in the sense of I woke everyone knows the fucking story by now. I've been saying it for 365 days. You know what I mean?
You're almost done. Wait, hold up. What days? Oh, you have 2 days.
2 more
left.
days left. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
fucked.
2 more days left.
Crazy.
But my point is that taught me so much. You know what I mean? In the sense of, I don't know, bro. It was just transformational in the sense of consistency is everything. You know what I mean? Your effort. Not every day is gonna be the best. some days you're gonna have bad days. You're a human being. It's just a consistent effort and effort and effort and effort and effort. And I just saw that like trickle with like everything in my life. And like the reason why I give myself 7.5 and not higher is because like I do feel like if I was more disciplined mentally in regards to like organization, in regards to like systems, and in regards to like prioritize, like having the right priority. Like I kept on using the excuse, I don't have time. You know, like I was doing like this podcast, like the real estate with my fiance, the cleaning company, you know, and also working a few jobs. I don't have time. But the real question was, what was I prioritizing? Like that was the question, you know what I mean? Like so all of 2022, yes, it was good, like in the sense of I got physically active like every single day, you know what I mean? I did push forward in trying to develop myself, trying to enhance my relationships. I got engaged with my fiance. It was an amazing year, don't get me wrong, but in the sense of like, could have there been more discipline mentally? Could have there been more responsibility? Could I have said no to things that would have bettered my year? Yes. You know what I mean? There's still so much room for improvement, I feel like, in that mental side of things. So yeah, like I'd give myself 7.5, and what I'm aiming for the new year is to fulfill those needs. Like I feel like I fulfilled the consistency, you know, in regards to like a lot of the avenues. I've fulfilled the proving that I'm gonna stick to my word. A lot of people, I've proved that to a lot of people, you know, whether that be in the real estate community, whether that be in like Nüvida, whether that be with like working out every day on Instagram. I've proved that. Okay, now 2023 is gonna be proving it to myself, like really diving in like full responsibility, like saying no to habits I know that I have that aren't correct, you know, saying no to things that don't align with my morals, my values. And that's gonna be super hard, you know what I mean? But like I feel like that's like kind of what's gonna, if I piece that together with what I learned this year, yeah, I feel like I'll be equipped to like not be a 10, because like maybe that's like a strive, you know what I mean? But like but better. But no, this year was transformational. This is not to discredit this year. Like the one thing I do is I don't celebrate sometimes wins, but no, this year was transformational, by far, like one of the most disciplined years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. That's why I said, like, that's why I kind of gave it such a high ranking, because like with giving it a high ranking, it means that next year has to be better. We've said this, like, next year should, like, you can't say it's not going to be better, because it should always be better. You should be always like, especially too, if you were able to take the tools, as you said, that you had from the year before, apply them to the tools you're working on the year forward. 2024 should be better, and then so on and so on and so on, right? Like it's kind of the growth of life at that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like we're all in the positive half, right?
Yeah.
You look at like feedback systems, like I remember Best Buy's like survey system, for example, right? 9 or 10 was exceptional, right? Yeah. Anything below a 7 didn't count. Right. Yeah. So like, and like TD. We're 7.5, right? 8.5.
5. Yeah, I'll
right?
give 8.5.
So like we're all in that range where it's like we're very happy with like where we've come. Yeah. And then there's still room for improvement, and I think that's exactly where we need to acknowledge, right? And like then there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like you'd be crazy to say like there's nowhere to improve. I think anyone would be crazy to say there's nowhere to improve. 2023
is going to be crazy. I'm calling it right now. I'm excited for this podcast, though. Quickly to say, for this podcast, 2023 is actually going to be crazy. Like we all know this, the people that we're meeting, the places we're going to be going. And just like, yeah, exactly. Everywhere, honestly. But my point is like, all of us are challenging ourselves to be better in 2023 in the parts that count, you know, in the parts that matter. Right. So yeah, no, I guess we can wrap it up there. It's been a long conversation, lads. I know the camera died. We need to fucking figure out that battery. But no, any last things you guys want to get out of your chest? We still got 2 cams.
No, honestly, I'm just I'm happy this year is almost over. Next year is 2023. It's like, honestly, it's just another day, but it's like it's kind of cool when like the transfer of the calendar, and it's like you kind of like
it's gonna be crazy, bro. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be fucking crazy. 2023 is gonna be crazy.
It's wild too, just because like this year went by so fucking fast. Like I don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. It was like this. Now like sitting here, it's like this. Like even too, how long we've been in the studio for, it went like this. So
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. That's my last words.
All right, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll talk about Coca's love life later.
Next time on Love Island.